Masayoshi-san speaking. Thank you very much for your time today. So let me start my presentation. And I have a photo which has not too much relevant to the earnings result, as a matter of fact. This is one photo. Can you guess what it is? People here attending today, or people who are listening over the internet, may not know. If you may, I don't believe that there is anyone who knows about this photo. For me, this is very important, one page, one photo. Back in 1981, at the year that we founded SoftBank, actually SoftBank did not born in Tokyo, but born in Fukuoka Prefecture, very small town called Dashonokuma. Back when I was 16, I went to United States and spent the time in a big city in United States. Also saw the birth of the microchip, also big development of technology in Silicon Valley and evolvements of the technology. And after I graduated, came back to Japan. At the time I went to United States, I told my mother that I will be back to Japan for sure after I graduated. So at the same time as graduation, that I came back to Japan. And since then, every day, about 18 months before I founded SoftBank, I was thinking what kind of business I should be doing, what kind of entrepreneur I should be doing. What should be the vision for me to raise my business? So I've been asking myself for about 18 months. At this small town called Dashonokuma, at the second floor, very small building, and just a small room there on the second floor, I was exploring and thinking about what I should be doing. So I have crossed this road several times, and also waiting for the train to go through. I just remember hearing the sound of train, sound of the town. And once that this sound stops and I hear the signal, green lights, and I get the station of Dashonokuma after I pass this road. And over there is a Hakata station. And even further there, Tokyo station is there. So across the train crossing, there is some dream there. Sometime I should be able to cross this train crossing with my huge passion and vision. So that's the kind of time when the SoftBank was born. And 2 employees that I hired, 2 of them, and at the morning session, morning meeting, I told them, although that we are starting a business at a very small town like this, but sometime in later, I will make sure to grow a business to count our market cap like 1 trillion or 2 trillion. And those 2 employees actually left the company in a few days later. I have talked about this several times, and you may recall I have spoken about this. But look at this photo. This is a place. This was a town, and a very small building. And a guy like me that start thinking about dreaming of making our business to 1 trillion, 2 trillion yen from this such a small town in such an suburb area. You don't imagine that, but actually I did. Actually, after foundation of our business, first year, we made a revenue of 33.6 billion yen. And after then, we relocated our office to Tokyo. Of course, the Tokyo office was still small, only about 3 staffs with and me, sharing the small desk all together, sharing the office back then of the other people's office, and start that business in Tokyo. So for today's announcement, officially, I would like to announce our net income. 4.99 trillion yen. Finally, our revenue in sales, now counting trillion, 2 trillion, and so on. Just about a year ago, actually we were making a big, huge loss. And going forward in the future, depending on the equity market, we may see some ups and downs. For SoftBank Group, the revenue, profit or loss of 1 trillion is not something surprise, actually, that something could happen. So today's announcement, main message, summarized in this one photo, I believe. 40 years of our history, put it into one slide, one photo, and I believe this is it. Many dramas, of course, many crises. Sometimes I was so happy, sometimes I was so depressed, but this is the history of SoftBank for 40 years. Biggest revenue income or biggest loss, but evaluation by investors were not always supportive, of course. 4.99 trillion yen net income. Many people say that one-time gain from split is included. Global stock market rallied. And also in the fourth quarter, we had several large-scale IPOs, DoorDash or some others. So this is just a coincidence. This was lucky plus lucky plus lucky for us and made a one-time gain. So this is just a kind of by exaggeration of luck. And of course, for me, there are many regrets as well. There are some failures in investment. For example, WeWork, Greensill, many investments which failed. Those are my regrets. But at the same time, even more regrets is that I have also missed so many great opportunities for investments. For example, put it in baseball, you just didn't hit, just didn't really swing your bat. Also, in many ways, that there are lack of systematic approach, so we would like to address such an issues sincerely. But about 4 years ago, that we have transformed ourselves into investment company. So now that our core business is investment activities, so not as an operating company or telecom business, which is operated by SoftBank Corp, led by Ken Miyauchi, and now starting from this year, that our CEO has been, he has passed the torch to Junichi Miyakawa, new CEO. So as a SoftBank Group, such Z Holdings, Yahoo, or the SoftBank Corp, there are many companies that we have underneath of us, but mainly led by SoftBank Vision Fund. We would like to continuously show our gains. So even we call ourselves as an investment company, but we don't expect any gambling. just a one-time gain because of the market rallies that we made the money one time. That's not the way that we are looking for. We like to be looking at continuous gains through AI for new technologies, new ways. And we would like to start investing or turbocharging such small startup companies to develop themselves. And so that we will be able to see the many IPOs from our group companies. And for that, what we need to do, we do need to have enough capability to discover and analyze those startup companies, enhance our organization, and also have a good financing structure as in our systems inside of our company. Producer of golden egg is something that we explained in the previous earnings results announcement, and that's something we would like to be more in detail. Consolidated results here. You see, net income I have already touched on in earlier pages. What is more important is the NAV, net asset value. That's also been discussed at the previous earnings results announcement. So this is net asset value. So those that the share value of the shares that we held, we less net interest-bearing debt. That's the net asset value. About a year ago, or compared to a year ago, that the 4.4 trillion yen increased compared to the last year. So that net asset value has increased because of the increase of the net income. What is things that not accounted into our net income calculation is Alibaba, for example. Those are equity method calculations. Some of them are calculated in assets. So the net income is not 100% straight build it into net asset value, but roughly speaking, that we could say net income will be added to net asset value. And here, in the past 20 years, this is a kind of movement for the net asset value for the past 20 years. 26.1 trillion yen as of the end of March, net asset value of SoftBank Group. Here inside, if I break down Alibaba, Vision Fund, and others, we can break into three. Just about 6 months ago, ratio of Alibaba was about 60% out of our total net asset value, so that many people criticize that the SoftBank Group is very heavily depending on Alibaba. But as of today, Alibaba's share out of net asset value is about 43%. And also Vision Fund. About a few years ago, it was just about 5 to 10% out of our net assets value, but now that it's taking about 25%. Sometime near future, we believe the ratio, this blue portion out of net asset value of SoftBank Group, will be increasing and can be the biggest out of our total net asset value. That's how I expect in the future. Although that we have a lot of net asset value, but if people may also doubt or criticize that the SoftBank Group has huge debt, and want you to see the fact here, our net interest-bearing debt, out of the total 30 trillion yen of equity value holding, only 12% are our debt. So in a normal time, we would like to manage our loan-to-value less than 25%. If we come close or being 25%, we should be slowing down the pace of investment, or we should be considering divesting some of our assets holdings. So that's how we see our loan-to-value LTV. This ratio is very important from our defensive point of view. And 12%, normal case, less than 25% that we would like to operate our business. That's how I basically think. And at this moment is 12%, which is very healthy and sound ratio. Even in abnormal case that we would like to manage less than 35% of loan to value. Last year, just about a year ago, we start seeing a big damage due to the COVID-19, and we need to be defensive, and that is why we have announced the monetizing program of 4.5 trillion yen out of our holding assets that we would like to divest and monetize those, so that we will be able to be more defensive at the time of the risk or at the time of danger, because back then we didn't know, we couldn't imagine how deep the valley of the COVID-19 will be. Therefore, I said that we should be defensive more than necessary so that we'll be able to protect our company. So 4.5 trillion yen program, and within a year that we need to monetize. That was the announcement we made. In reality, we achieved our commitment in 6 months. In addition, about 10 trillion yen of the monetization was achieved. So we were able to meet our goal because that we have announced the selling to NVIDIA, that bring us to close to 10 trillion yen. And being that defensive, we also announced the share buyback, share repurchase. 2.5 trillion yen buyback was also announced. Just about today, 3 o'clock, we closed at the time of close market, happened to be able to complete 2.5 trillion yen share buyback.
Exactly 2.5 trillion yen of share buyback was completed. And I would like to announce that we're going to retire this amount of treasury stock. Repurchase own stocks and retire them. That means net income per share and NAV per share should go up. The number of shares decrease. By the way, average repurchase price was 6,800 yen, and currently trading at 9,000 yen or so. As of end of March 31st, the share price was about 9,300 yen, which is about the same as the current level. And since the number of shares went down, earning per share should have grown. Earning per share was 2,869 yen, or 3.3 times, grew by 3.3 times compared to the end of March. Usually, PE ratio, price earning ratio, 3.3 times is very low. And SoftBank should last longer than 3 years. That means that the value is relatively cheap, but depends on how you look at. Because stock market is moving ups and downs, and again, you may say that you just had one-time gain. That's why our valuation was low. I understand that. But net asset per share is 15,000 yen roughly as of today. So today's stock price was about 9,200 yen at the closing of the trading today. And equity value of holdings, including Alibaba, Vision Fund, and T-Mobile, and KK. NAV per share is 15,000 yen. So from shareholders' perspective, compared to 1 year ago, which was about 3,000 yen, maybe some shareholders might see it as overvalued, but don't worry. Even taking into account of debt, per share, the value is 15,000 yen. In fact, the bills you have in a wallet value more than the total value of the bills and the wallet combined. In other words, undervalued. That's my point. Anyway, 12 months ago, most people were worried about our performance of Vision Fund. And 1 year ago, when we made an earnings announcement, I said that we were in red ink. Our books were red ink all over. And we had net loss, huge net loss, 2 consecutive terms or so. For example, WeWork and Uber, those shares were really underperforming, and we suffered a loss. But at the latest quarter, we made 3 trillion yen of income. If you take a look at this graph, you see ups and downs. But in the last 12 months, we recorded 6.3 trillion yen of gain. And some people criticize Masa's view or insights are not always correct. But I'm not overjoyed or depressed so easily. Just stay calm. Coupon. We invested about 300 billion yen, and the gross gain to Vision Fund 1 was about 28 billion. And View also grew by 0.4 times, and Compass grew by 1.9 times, and Immersion also grew by 2.3 times compared to the investment that we made. We've got Vision Fund 1 and 2, and blue buckets are listed public investment. And the left-hand side is investment cost, and right-hand side is gross return as of end of March. We invested 1.7 trillion yen, and now the gross return is 6.7 trillion yen, which means 5 trillion yen increase. Likewise, Vision Fund 2, $500 billion gain was achieved. There were some unlisted stock investments, but as far as listed companies go, compared to investment cost, gross return grew for both Vision Fund 1 and 2. Vision Fund 1 was 10 trillion yen fund, as you remember. And of that 10 trillion yen, SoftBank's own money was 3 trillion yen out of 10 trillion yen of the fund. But 60% of the gain should go into our SoftBank Group. Of 10 trillion, 4 trillion is preferred equity portion. It's not borrowing, but kind of close to borrowing. And the remaining 6.5 trillion yen is equity portion. Of equity, about half, 3 trillion, was financed by SoftBank Group. So of the gain, SoftBank Vision Fund made, about 40% would go to our partners. And from a limited partners perspective, return to investment per year is shown here. For equity, 30% IRR. Preferred equity, 7% IRR. It's a fixed distribution. And the blended IRR, 22%. So the partners that invested together with us should get 22% of return annually. From SoftBank Group's perspective, again, those numbers I just shown are from partners' perspective. And from SoftBank Group's perspective, net equity IRR is 39%. Why? We've got the performance-based distribution as well as we have performance-based distribution. So since the performance was pretty good, we enjoyed much better return. One year ago, we saw her suffer the huge loss. But compound gain or return of the 4-year term, IRR is roughly 40%. Looking back, Fund 1's performance was pretty good. And by the time we started Fund 2, which was about 12 months ago, we invited partners, but we were not popular at all. So nobody came to us. So we started Vision Fund 2 with our own money, 100%. So the gain from SoftBank Vision Fund 2 should go 100% to SoftBank Group. And the net equity IRR of Fund 2 is 119%. We just started Fund 2. And this over 100% IRR is not going to stay forever, but we made a pretty good start. And currently, we are looking at 119% of IRR. Combining Fund 1 and Fund 2, net equity IRR is 43%. By the way, other than vision funds, entities like Yahoo and SoftBank KK, Alibaba, Supercell, and Sprint, we invested in those businesses. And over the last 20 years or so, SoftBank recorded about 43%. In equity IRR of SoftBank Vision Fund 1 plus 2, 43%, and SoftBank's own investments IRR is also about 43%. Again, this should go up and down depending on the environment, so we should not be overjoyed, I understand. And LATAM Fund we launched quite recently, led by Marcelo and his team. This LATAM Fund made a good start as well. They invested 288 billion yen and also made huge gain. And of 10 top unicorn companies in Latin America, LATAM Fund invested in 6 companies on the list. In LATAM Fund, we own 100%, no other partners. And the LATAM Fund net equity IRR is 62%, so again, good start. The size is still small. So if you combine Vision Fund 1, 2, and LATAM Fund together, IRR is about 43%. So as investment company, IRR is the most important measure. Vision Fund 1 plus 2's IRR 43%, and SoftBank Group's IRR 39%, and all combined 43%. So I kept talking about percentage of return, and you may say that now Masa is just a gambler. Well, that may be true, so I don't disagree or deny such a view, but I'm not just interested in money. I am interested in most advanced technologies, AI, and business model driven by AI. Those are the things that I'd like to dig deeper and bring them into our group to deliver synergies. So how AI's technical revolution go, and what kind of revolution are taking place, and computing evolution, those are the things that I am strongly interested in, and I keep learning to sharpen my insights.
And the most important in AI world is GPU performance. GPU performance, the biggest company in the world for this one is NVIDIA. So selling ARM to NVIDIA, it's like sales, but at the same time, we will be receiving NVIDIA shares. So that we will become the leading shareholder of NVIDIA. And this advancement of GPU is also equivalent to the advancement of our group as well, and 13 times in 5 years. Also, for sure that the autonomous driving is coming. And high-tech representative was the smartphone. Smartphone becoming also bringing the Apple to the market cap global #1 company. But smartphone is the advanced or the core of the high-tech technology, high-tech device. But going forward, I believe autonomous driving will be also one of the such an advancement. Autonomous driving is a kind of becoming the core, not the level 2 or level 3, but rather level 4 above will be available to the market in the future. And the basic for that is the dedicated chip for autonomous driving, which will be mounted in the car. And in 6 years, it becomes about 1,000 times. By 2024, Atlan will have a capacity of 1,000 times. And about last month, NVIDIA announced its Grace. Compared to the traditional chip, AI learning speed became 1/10. And I think this Grace was very important announcement because #1 of GPU, NVIDIA, using ARM CPU design, taking advantage of such technology, and powered by ARM GPU will be building cloud servers and will be the latest edge technology, which was just announced. So NVIDIA plus ARM announcing such ARM-based CPU, so that a chip dedicated to AI or a chip for computing platform for AI, this will be very essential. And also this merger still under process for the regulatory approval. And I'm convinced that we'll be able to receive such approval. And the engineer from NVIDIA and ARM, by collaborating each other, they will be the strongest chip dedicated for AI or building great performance of the platform. So that then at the same time continuously will be able to serve for the clients. So for the industry all, we believe that will be a great news. So AI, just the beginning. AI is disrupting every industry and making even more developments. Vision Fund 1, 2, and LATAM Fund in total number of total companies are 224, including those approved by our investment committee. Just about 3 months ago, when we announced our earnings, it was 164 companies. So we have added about 60 companies in 3 months. Vision Fund 1 has already finished its investment period, so that it will be supported by IPOs and other events. But Fund 2 is now just begun, so that number of the company-wise, it's already exceeded the number of company, which is 95 in Vision Fund 2 compared to 92 in Vision Fund 1. Fund 2 just has begun, and because SoftBank doesn't have money, and you cannot really invite third-party investors, so that the people may say that we just are slowing down, slow start for Vision Fund 2, and many people may think that way, but actually Vision Fund 2 has already invested more than number of companies than Vision Fund 1. In addition, LATAM has also invested in 37 companies and also growing together with others, 224 companies. Over last year, 14 companies went public. Before then, 6 companies went public. So 14, that's how we see the increase of the number of companies went public. In 2021, actually, we believe we'll be able to see more IPOs than the last year or this last fiscal year. And has already been seeing pipelines of those IPOs with specific companies that we are expecting that they are preparing for going public. And by increasing such more companies, or that the invested companies number increase, the more that we invest, the more we see the IPO. So it's not the luck. It's not the bad luck or good luck, but it's just a matter of certain possibilities that we believe we'll be able to see the good work out of our ecosystem. And that's what I have said in the beginning. I said that the lack of a systematic approach, that was missing, and that was my regret in the past. So that's something that I would like to strengthen and enhance so that we'll be able to improve and even develop further. Out of 224 companies, I cannot go every company to introduce to you, so I would like to pick up some interesting one for you as an example. Gopuff. You may not know, I believe, the name of the company, but simply put, online convenience store. So it's like a micro warehouse that you put the inventory in the warehouse, and there are about 3,000 items. And if you receive your order in average 23 minutes or so, that you'll be able to deliver to your home. So about 25 minutes. I will say as of today, 23 minutes or so. And also, we ask for delivery fee for about $1.95. And the subscription fee is $5.95 per month. So we have quite a robust business model here. And also have a very good high margin. So it's very good business in terms of profitability. I want you to see some video here. Using your smartphone, you'll be able to pick up. It's like a convenience stores for you. So like you usually shop, you'll be able to deliver to you, to your home. And also you can inform you, you'll be receiving information that your stuff has arrived, and you'll be able to be receiving. So after you shop, you'll be able to deliver. It's not the next day, or it's not 24 hours. It's about immediately, almost immediately. So that's a Gopuff. So the base for logistics, micro warehouse, there are about 450 locations with 650 cities in the United States, and these days are now expanding to Europe. And they have a partner brands where that has a convenience stores that they are the partners. They limited to the number of SKU instead of expanding to 1 million, 2 million, anything, but rather limited to most frequently purchased goods That's the model for Gopuff. So using AI, you'll be able to see the user contribution, regionalities, day of the week, time of the day, event. Those data are accumulated, and AI will forecast the demands real time, by store, by locations, and analyze those in deep so that you'll be able to optimize the inventory in the warehouse so that you'll be able to deliver in 20 to 25 minutes, which is making a rapid growth better. This just announced last night of Japan time that the merger of SPAC has just announced last night. Mortgage loan, people purchasing house is the biggest shopping of your life, I believe, for most people. And when you purchase house, there are many complicated processes in the United States. If you have about 10 times of sales and buy, then that's going to be so tedious, many complicated registration process. Then that will allow you to do on one stop, all in online in AI, so that you don't need to transact with people. And also loan process is very quick and not asset heavy. And the financing institution or banks can be arranged with low interest rate, and the immediate loaning process can be matched to the client. So matching engine is run by AI. From banks or financial institutions' point of view, they don't need to do the interview with clients, check the paperwork, insurance, all those things that's not really needed. Just a one package better will do it for you. In just banks or financial institutions, based on the client's credit scoring, that you'll be able to tell the value of the housing itself, matching all those, that you'll be able to make the process complete. So that hours per loan estimate 122, and also hours per funded loan 1/3. So that at the same time, loan per month has increased by 2.5 times, and the labor cost has decreased to 1/3. As a result, loan origination has increased from 4.9 billion to 24.2. It's not the beta's balance sheet using, but the beta is just introducing to banks, financial institutions. It's a kind of an agent in matching between clients and financial institutions. And the sales from that matching comes 10 times in 1 year, and has already making 876 million of net revenue. I have a high expectation on this company. Jelly Smack. This is the 21st century type of creator group. Creator groups like Hollywood movie stars, musicians, those people are the group of creators, and the people manage such creator group is, for example, Universal Music, Sony Pictures. There are also such management company, and also distribute such products to people. But 21st century type of creator is the Jelly Smack here. Want you to also see the video here again.
こういうさまざまなクリエイターですね。がみつくよりも、ショートビデオ、個人のクリエイターが作ったショートビデオを見るという時間の方が長くなりつつあります。さまざまに YouTube だとかですね。
Longer than TV, so that Instagrams, TikToks, there are a variety of the short clips are now available And the young generations are spending more time in short clips than TV. And creators, so many creators in Jelly Smacks has been viewed. And here, 200 people, popular creator, is in this group, and dedicated contract, like Hollywood, 200 top creators are dedicated to Jelly Smack, and their sales comes in certain ratio out of their sales is coming to Jelly Smack. And the YouTuber, for example, it's a very popular YouTuber. In the YouTube, about 1 million followers. If you have 1 million followers, once you become popular, you may be able to get the revenue of about 1 million yen. But that's coming from the advertisement revenue share will be distributed to YouTubers. But even they become a star in YouTube, about 80% is stopped at YouTube. They cannot go over cross-sell sales like Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. Only about 20% can do the cross-sell to the other SNS, which is very hard job, hard work. For creators, the most complicated part is editing for their content. So this editing, probably shooting the video is not that hard, but you have to do the good quality of editing. Otherwise, that you cannot really bring impressive short clips. YouTubers is 10 minutes. Facebook, that's about 3 minutes or so. TikTok, about 15 seconds. So for those that for 10 minutes has to be edited again for 3 minutes or 15 seconds. The editing process every time is very hard-working, and also you need a know-how for that. So as a result, you be only stick at the one content. That's about 80% of YouTubers. Cross-selling requires tools, technologies, consultations, or the charged advertisement and increase. That's what the Jelly Smack does. For example, Brad, who is popular in the United States, he has a follower of about 1 million or 2 million in YouTube, but by belonging to Jelly Smack, he became increasing the number of followers. And further cross-sell with the advice and support by Jelly Smack, he has now that 9.7 million followers in Facebook. And in addition, Snapchat, he acquired about 4.5 million followers. So if you are only receiving 1 million yen per month, and now that you'll be able to increase your revenue by 10 times, 100 times, and so on. So for those who are popular in YouTube, the AI every day, real time, that checking new stars, discover those great talents in YouTube, dedicated, they are asking those popular YouTubers, introducing to Jelly Smack. And now that the Jelly Smack total the followers of 360 millions and more than 10 billion monthly viewer. So number of viewers, it's already number 3 out of total number of viewers. First is Disney, second is Viacom.
Much more than Fox and Comcast. So this Jelly Smack can be viewed as a media. It's huge and tracks. AI can image recognition, as you know. But recognizing images doesn't mean a lot. The image should be used effectively for sales guys to secure shelf space, for example. One of the most important responsibilities that sales guys should bear is to make sure that you've got shelf space at retail shops. You need to negotiate with the owners of the shops, and you need to go through some investigations and surveys, and also you need to check prices of competitors. Just show you a video.
Started Trax with a big ambition to help every manufacturer and retailer maximize the value of every shelf and every store. And so, we pioneered a new way forward for the industry. We built a breakthrough computer vision and analytics platform that digitizes every product in every aisle. By using cameras here, here, and here, we capture images of what's happening on the shelf and turn them into granular, actionable insights at global scale. Trax delivers a single source of shelf truth that empowers the world's brands to perfect their shelf execution in store visits and retailers to enhance their operational efficiencies.
For example, some products are in short supply.
To improve the way products perform on the shelf in real time. The right products are in the right positions at the right price. And promotions work more effectively.
When SoftBank was doing publishing business and selling software at retail shops, I visited shops every day. And it's important to secure the space, location of shelves, to catch customers' eyes, and also space close to cashiers are all very important. And not taking notes, but just shooting image and upload to Trax. Then Trax can give you advice by processing images. And cost of inference reduced dramatically from 1 million yen to only 3 yen in 2 years. So AI contributed a huge cost reduction. So sales guys go out there and take photos and upload the images to this Trax. Then brand, package, category, amount, price, size should be analyzed by AI. Then effects of AI use would be like this. For example, stockout duration reduced dramatically, shelf audit time down dramatically, number of stores per sales team grew dramatically, and revenue grew by 1.2 times. So revenue grew by 1.2 times, and then profit should be doubled. So very household name of the brands, American brands, want to sign a deal with Trax because they can expect better cost performance and better sales and profit. And from retail's perspective, they can reduce the time to manage shelves and to prevent shelves from being empty. So I think this is going to redefine how the sales guides work. And recently, automatic process is taking place, and Trax is growing exponentially, and job and talent is AI talent matching. Part-time workers, temp workers, for a shorter period of time, even though the term is very short, you have to go through face-to-face interviews and paperwork processing and decentralized information. That's a traditional way, but with AI, everything can be matched. Currently, 95,000 workers signed a contract with this job and talent, and over 1,000 employers are using this platform, and worker satisfaction increased, worker retention increased, and again, big brand names like Walmart and Cisco and Pfizer, those companies are using job and talent for talent matching. So the list goes on, and I review those companies that invested in every day. The number of companies grew by 20 per month. So we are making investment decision almost every day. So again, to summarize, I showed you a lot of numbers like NAV, net income, LPV, and IRR, a lot of numbers I talked about in this presentation. But the most important thing is summarized here on this one photo. Over the rail crossing, there's a huge dream, and grab that dream no matter what it takes. The sound of the signal and the sound of my heartbeat were in sync. I had such a motivation and drive and excitement, like a chemical reaction. That excitement still is inside of me. And so long as I have this passion and excitement and heartbeat, I will keep chasing my dream over the rail cross. I will keep chasing bigger dream and achieve the goal. That drive and motivation and excitement are the most important weapon and asset for SoftBank. No matter how many shares we have, no matter how much profit we delivered, that's probably one snapshot. But I'm not satisfied with 5 trillion yen, 6 trillion yen, or even with 10 trillion yen. I keep going so long as I am excited. That's my passion. Yes, there are some regrets and lessons learned, but there is an opportunity for growth so long as we learn a lesson. So not gambling, not one-time gain. We have a systematic approach in place so that we can be a true producer of golden eggs. AI revolution has just begun. I talked a lot about money, but money is just a tool. From SoftBank's perspective, what matters most is our vision that has been remaining the same since the foundation of the company. Information revolution, happiness for everyone. reduce sorrow, increase happiness. That's our ultimate vision. Thank you very much for your attendance and participation. Thank you.
それではただいまより
Thank you. Let's have a question and answer session. We take questions from those on site. And we will bring you a microphone. If you have a question, raise your hand and state your name and the company. And people online, please access to Zoom webinar and press raise hand button and hold on for a moment until you're called. And if you want to withdraw your question, please make sure to press retract question. And we take one question per person so that we can take as many questions as possible. So participants from the site, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Wada from Nikkei newspaper. Vision Fund 2, I have a question. So you have already spent $30 billion. Do you have any plan to invite third-party investors in the future? And are you planning to provide a fixed fee like you did in the first vision? The number of the company invested has increased than number Vision Fund 1. But is it the smaller size of the investment per company, or have you changed your investment policy compared to Vision Fund 1? We have spent about a few months after launch of Vision Fund 2 and doing pretty good. So in the beginning, we were inviting many outside investors. Nobody actually joined, so we have started by ourselves. But actually, after we started it, we thought, hey, it's okay, only with us do this fund, because just about a year ago, we have announced the 4.5 trillion yen monetization program, and actually that we have raised or achieved about 10 trillion yen monetization. And about half of those are from the sales of ARM, of course. So that's still waiting for the approval by the regulators. But money-wise, we have quite enough cash in hands. So only by our cash, we could do our investment activities by ourselves. Therefore, that right now that we would like to continue investing using our own cash. Fund 1, we will see the exit, like the investment or sales of the shares after they go public, so that we'll be able to receive the distribution, so that we believe that we'll be able to recycle those money for the new investments. So that's the status we have already achieved. So the situation has changed since then. Having said that, it's not that we don't invite at all from the third-party investor, but we don't have to beg for participation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't ask any other third-party participation. At this moment, we just will be able to run our investment business by our own money.
Next question from the floor. Thank you very much. Ichikawa from Yomiuri paper. Question about mid-long-term growth strategy. Looking at the latest profit, your level is as big as Berkshire Hathaway, for example, but Berkshire, their market cap is much better than their profit level. Of course, you have different portfolio and history from Berkshire Hathaway, and for you to grow further as an investment company, what kind of a strategy or view or investment policy you have for mid-long term? Thank you. NAV, which excludes debt, is about 1.5 times bigger than market cap, which from my perspective is undervalued. But in order for us to be properly valued, we need to learn a lot of lessons, and we need to keep improving ourselves so that we make a lot of people comfortable and confident with what we are doing, how we are doing. We make gain sustainably, not just by one time. Then, at some point, I believe that we will enjoy premium on our value. But until then, we keep just going forward and keep working on ourselves. Then once we are properly valued, that would make us happy. But even if that's not the case, what I do will remain the same, and we will continue striving for the better days. And hopefully, eventually, so long as we keep striving for better, we will see some good results.
Next question, please.
ウォール・ストリート・ジャーナルのデボラ。
My name is Deborah from Wall Street Journal. I have one question. The investment vision for the future, I would like you to elaborate a bit. For example, will you be creating another fund like Vision Fund 2? Or are you going to create Vision Fund 3 or 4, inviting third-party money? As I mentioned earlier, in Vision Fund 2, 100% our own money, we've been doing our good investment. We still have some room there. And also, we will be able to expect distribution from Vision Fund 1 and 2 by portfolio going public and so on, so that at this moment, I think we will be able to continue the current status. In the future, we may consider inviting third-party money, but we don't know yet at this moment. At this moment, we just like to continue what we are doing right now as the current structure. So 60 companies added in 3 months. So we believe that we'll be able to continuously doing the same. So.
そちらの前の方。
Next question on the floor. Kikuchi from Toyo Keizai. Question about Vision Fund 2. As of end of December, commitment was 10 billion. And as of May, 30 billion. And you said you added 60 companies on your portfolio in just a few months. So what kind of view you have in terms of the size of the investment? Since we have plenty of cash in hand, so long as there is an investment opportunity, we will put together the money that is needed. So depending on how much we have in our hands and what kind of investment opportunities out there, so far we have been seeing and discovering great AI companies. And those AI companies that deserve further investment. And so long as we have cash in hands, we want to keep investing in those potential businesses. And we get return from exit and other ways. Then we should be able to see further growth. For example, like you mentioned, from 1 trillion yen to 3 trillion yen, we grew by size, but we will continue doing that so long as there are opportunities.
My name is Takagi from Sankei newspaper. At the European Committee, that there were regulatories for the control over AI, and also some regulations over the platformers. So there are some movements on the enhancement of restrictions on such AI. Does that impact to your vision on AI for the future? I believe we need regulations on that. If there is no regulation at all, leak of privacy information, antitrust issues, there are many aspects of issues which arise in the society. So regulation itself is, I believe, necessary for such a new industry in any country that always needs to address the new arising issues whenever there is new industry. So society requires such new regulations, but at the same time, development of the AI technology is advancing rapidly, so that the regulations or the rules within such umbrella, we believe that the development of technology will continue, and for opportunities for that will be even more in the future. That's how I see.
そちらの真ん中の方。
And one more, two more from the floor. Kato from NHK. Follow up on that question. Regulation and investment policy, especially in China, regulations on IT companies are stricter and stricter. Due to that, I wonder if you have different view from investment policy perspective, for example. Right, not only in China, but Western countries, new regulations are coming up. Like I said earlier, new issue needs to be addressed by new regulation. I think in principle it's good for healthy growth of the society. So I welcome such regulations. But from our perspective, I don't expect that would have an impact on our investment policy, especially since we are looking at unicorn, not giants like GAFA companies. We are looking at new pioneers that would explore new fields. So the current regulation discussions are probably different from what we are looking at.
My name is Goto from Mainichi newspaper. I want to ask you about the holding policy for Alibaba share. Alibaba, some incidents, some news coverage, and so on. But the performance, business performance-wise, actually, they are providing necessary service for the people, so that business performance is actually growing, continuously growing. So our policy of Alibaba is in principle no change.
And the gentleman over there. Sam from Reuters. Question about Bitcoin. Tesla, Nexon, they made an investment in Bitcoin. So under the background, have you ever thought about investing in Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin per se, whether it's good or bad, there are a lot of debates going on. How much Bitcoin has in value? Is it bubble or not? To be honest, I don't know. But I also know that there are a lot of people who want to own Bitcoins or those currencies, virtual currencies. And platform or infrastructure that delivered things like Bitcoin probably are growing because there are a lot of people out there who are investing in Bitcoin, like investing in gold, stocks, and bonds. But we still have a discussion with my team whether or not we invest in Bitcoin or not. So now we'd like to take questions from people online. The first question is Inagaki-san from Financial Times.
So now that we would like to take questions from the Zoom, so to avoid any echoing, please make sure to disconnect the live streaming other than Zoom webinar. Now that we would like to take a question from Inagaki-san from Financial Times. Yes, this is Inagaki from Financial Times. Mapbox that invest in my SoftBank Vision Fund and the SPAC by SoftBank Group merger and going public. That was a news coverage that I saw on news coverage. So for the way of using SPAC to list Vision Fund company, are you going to use the SPAC that is established by SoftBank Group? And is that something healthy way to do the IPO? That's something that I would like to ask you your view on that. Possibility-wise, yes, which means in any companies, we have invested 20%, 30%, or 40%. And more than 51% or majority is not the way that we invest in such companies. And each company, for example, Mapbox that you just mentioned, I don't believe that there is no any official announcements or anything like that. But even if there is such a discussion going on, but each company in their own board meeting analyze many offers out of many SPACs, and any proposal or offer from the Vision Fund SPAC should be the good one from such company. And even from our point of view, if it is attractive, then the size or the company's status in many terms are satisfied. And both way, if it's a win-win relationship, then that kind of matching could be happens. I don't deny that possibility. And we have about 224 companies under our umbrella. Even we do the SPAC, it's only going to be just a handful of SPAC. Majority of the companies will be going public in traditional way. That's the main route that we are looking at. Just a part of those can be we may be the sponsor for the SPAC side. It's all case by case. It's not violating any rules, or it's not that not unhealthy or anything. It's just the company itself decide based on the offer from many SPAC proposal, and in the board meeting of such company decide taking our offer if we are proposing any. And that can be the competition amongst the SPAC sponsors. If we are the only sponsor for this SPAC for the offer, may not be the case for many cases, from my understanding. That could be a very unhealthy, but so that we will not be the only offer or only sponsor candidates for the SPAC, but amongst the many offers or the proposals by the sponsor candidates of SPAC, we may be also the one. That's one possibility we don't deny. Thank you.
次どうぞ。
Thank you very much. Next question is from Bloomberg. Mr. or Ms. Pavel, please unmute. Pavel. I have a question about share buyback. So the existing program should be completed by the end of this day, today. You spent about 200 billion yen per month to repurchase shares, and I wonder if there will be another commitment, or if not, how much do you think you can support a share price going forward? At an appropriate time, we may make an announcement of further share buyback, but at the moment, there's no decision made with regards to further share buyback. And you mentioned that the supporting share price, well, once you make announcement and do share buybacks, in many cases, share price may go up, but supporting share price is not the goal. If you think it's beneficial for us to buy back shares, we will do. And at the same time, we need to keep looking at investment opportunities, and also need to keep looking at LTV and the balance sheet. And if share price remained underperformed for a long time, yes, we will consider buying back our own shares. So we are looking at a lot of options and balances and make appropriate decisions accordingly.
じゃあ次。
Next question, please. Thank you very much. We will take a question from Owada-san from Nikkei BP. Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Yes, thank you. I would like to ask you the utilization of digitals in Japan. So digital agency has established, and now that digitalization is ongoing in Japan, but at the same time, the benefits distributions has been complicated. Vaccination systems still have a challenge in IT side. And you must mentioned that Japan should be advanced country in digital or digitalization or IT. And to increase such a capability, what should we do? What we should do? So you, the IRR 43%, how can you contribute to Japanese society in terms of digitalization? I believe there are about 1,000 unicorns around the world, especially focusing AI. In Japan, there are only 3 companies. Definitely, we are behind in terms of AI revolution, and that's the fact. And digital transformation, or in the next steps, AI transformation is waiting for us, ahead of us. So digital is already the common sense. If it's not digitalized, already we are not in the starting line yet. There are many people still using facsimile for sharing the result of PCR testing, for example. That's very embarrassing. Even cannot talk about that. So that digital transformation is, of course, we have to do. But on top of that, now that the global society is now competing against AI technology, so that we should be on the same starting line, not behind the starting line. So we have to be on the same stage with the other countries. So if there's 1,000 companies around the world, we should have about 100, 10% should be coming from Japan, so that that means that concerns me a lot as well. But at the same time, I'm not a politician. I am not a decision-making body or process person or anything. So that what we're doing as one company, we just showcasing our success track record by doing our businesses, investing in global companies, and hoping that we'll be able to, Japan will be motivated to do the same, and hoping that we'll be able to have good unicorns to be raised in Japanese market as well. So I'm thinking, how can we set the environment? I do have some ideas, but it's too early to tell, but hope that we'll be able to have a ground so that the Japanese unicorn will be able to raise in Japanese market. And probably it's too early to discuss at this moment regarding what kind of idea I have at this moment, but I'm pretty sad to see the current situation of Japan.
次
Thank you. Next question is from Yamamoto-san from Asahi Newspaper. Thank you very much for taking my question. Yamamoto from Asahi Newspaper. Looking at the earnings results, you mentioned that some people may see it as by accident, but also you said that you are not satisfied with 5, 6, 10 trillion, but you delivered the biggest income amongst the Japanese companies. And in the past, Toyota had been the top on the list in terms of income, but you are exceeding Toyota. What's your view? Yes. Well, about 5 trillion yen of net income, just actually by accident, broadly speaking. So we are not over proud of that, but we achieved that. And I don't want it to be just one time. I want to make sure that we can go further with systematic approach. Again, we have a lot of learnings and regrets. And so long as we learn from those lessons, we have opportunity for improvement and growth. And eventually, many people hopefully will stop saying that, oh, it's just one time by accident. We will definitely be a sustainable profit maker. That's our passion.
ございました。では
Thank you very much. We are about time, so next question will be the last question. Now that we would like to take a question from Ishikawa-san from freelance. Yes, this is Ishikawa speaking. So 40 years of history in SoftBank Group. There are NTT, MIT, or MIC that you've been battling or competing, that there was some entertainment dinner issue between NTT and MIC, but how did you take the discussion? Our supervised agency-wise that we are not receiving any parachuting from such supervising agency. We have been communicating internally and externally. Dinner or entertainments with supervising agency should not be happening. We don't do that. But actually, even more bigger issue is tens of millions of yen paid to receive parachuting from a supervising agency. That can be a human resource issue. It's a human resource bribery. So 50,000 yen, 10,000 yen dinner is rather small amount. Actually, tens of millions of yen parachuting from such government agency taking the position in the company just about 2 years in between and continuously receive such parachuting resources from governmental offices. That's, if not the bribery, what is? Why people don't really doubt about or ask about it. It's not only the certain company, but it's actually industry, in any industry. That's structural or issue. I believe that should be even more, we should be more upset about. Vaccinations, for example, pharmaceutical companies, or there are so many things that I would like to discuss here. But today is just the earnings results announcement. I shouldn't be off the course in terms of such discussion. So, and also, if I say one word, SoftBank Corp employees, managements, it will be negatively received. So I always put up with whatever I want to say because it's going to be negatively damaged to our SoftBank Corp management. But sometimes I may need to say a thing. But for today, this is earnings results announcements. And very end of the my presentation, I don't want to make any off-the-course discussion or speech. But we as one company in Japan, through our business, we would like to make people, bring the people happiness. We would like to contribute even just a little bit. Many lessons learned, and we like to make good steps forward. Thank you very much for today.